A lot is happening today. We have breaking news on multiple fronts, and right now the breaking news we're going to tell you about is at the nation's capital. We've got two buses of immigrants. They've come from Texas. They've been dropped off at the Naval Observatory. That is the official residence of Vice President Kamala Harris. This is video from a little bit earlier. We do have a reporter on the scene trying to get the lay of the land right now. Most of these folks are here seeking asylum. This is the way they've been doing it in Texas. They process them for their asylum claims, and then they send them on a bus. And these folks are outside of the Naval Observatory. We have done extensive reporting on these bus trips. We even traveled from Texas to Washington, D.C. on one of these buses. The way these things normally work is that the immigrants that come from the border are dropped off at Union Station. That's right there, a very central location in Washington, D.C. They are then processed with the help of a non-governmental organization, an NGO, that is there to help. And instead, what's happening here is these folks have been dropped off at the Naval Observatory. If you're not familiar with D.C., that's not close to Union Station. That's not close to where these folks would normally be processed. So instead, what you're seeing right now is they're standing around on the lawn in front of the Naval Observatory, again, the official residence of Vice President Kamala Harris, and they don't know where to go, and they don't know what to do. And no one is ushering them anywhere. No one is saying, you need to go here, you need to go there. Even if they did know where to go, how are these folks supposed to go anywhere? We don't have the answer to that question. We do have our Joe Khalil that is on the ground. He is getting some information for us right now, and we're working on the story. It's just amazing to watch.
Well, and again, two busloads of people dropped off at the Vice President of the United States official office and residence is quite a picture, something you can't ignore. It looks as though most of these people have simply the clothes on their backs. Some have some blankets. They've been there since the early morning hours. You can see from this earlier video that we have for you, but they're just loitering. I mean, they're just standing around, and that's not to say that they haven't been given any information, but I'm sure they probably don't even know where they are or why they're here, except for that they had to voluntarily board these buses. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been telling repeatedly that these are volunteers. They get on board these buses. They're told where they're going. Their hopes are that they'd be near a family who could host them. But again, quite a picture, as we have seen a number of these buses. There have been bus dropped off in New York, in Martha's Vineyard most recently by Governor Ron DeSantis. That was a plane ride. And in a lot of towns where the folks, the local leadership, don't even know they're arriving. I don't think that Vice President Harris had any knowledge of this happening outside her front door.
I very much doubt it. I did some research here. According to GoGoCharter.com, the average Greyhound bus has between 36 and 60 seats per bus. So if you're looking at two buses of immigrants there, you're looking at between 72 and 120 people. And also, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser recently declared a public health emergency, and that was just earlier this week on Monday, on the 12th of September, and that was supposed to deal with all of this immigrant crisis. So 7,900 plus migrants have been sent from Texas to the capital, and this is another two busloads, Adrienne.
Well, and you mentioned Muriel Bowser, quite a different change in tone from some of the other Democratic leaders in the Northeast who have spoken about immigration or have not said anything. But let's get to Joe Khalil. He is live for us right now with the very latest on all of this. Joe, are you there in front of Vice President Harris's home?
Yeah, we are, Adrienne. Actually, we're right across the street. What happened is you have this group, I think probably about 6 or so migrants. And what happened was they started moving just across the way. Nobody from the mayor's office or law enforcement, as far as we can tell. We saw that there were 1 or 2 people leading this group over here. They started to walk, so we started to walk with them, but then they sort of abruptly stopped here. We think that the people leading this group are actually the heads of aid organizations. Not yet anybody from the mayor's office. But just if I can give you a quick lay of the land here, what you are looking at now, you may be able to see in the distance, the Naval Observatory itself, where the vice presidential residence is. It's not some normal house, right? It's not a neighborhood. This is a heavily fortified area, as you might imagine. So there is a gate outside with quite a lot of law enforcement there. This group was dropped off just on the grass in front of the gate, and they had been there all morning. What you are seeing now is, again, probably 4 or 5 dozen migrants who don't know where to go. There are maybe 2 people giving them some sort of direction, but nobody in an official capacity. The background here, as you guys had been talking about, is that D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser declared a state of emergency about 6 days ago. She established what is now called the Office of Migrant Services as a result of her declaration. That office presumably is supposed to be the authority that would come down here and give these people some sort of help, some sort of direction as to where they are going to go next. Mitch, you laid it out. Union Station, usually the place where we've seen these buses go. There's a lot of transit there, in and out. Right here, I mean, as you're looking on the street, it's not like there are a whole lot of places for you to go or to walk. I mean, it looks like what is sort of a residential neighborhood with a sidewalk, except you got the vice presidential residence right across the street. So not a lot of direction. If you can just bear with me here for a second, we're trying to get a better picture of one person who seems to be giving this group some kind of direction. But again, I want to emphasize there's a lot of confusion out here, and everyone seems to just be waiting for somebody to tell them where to go, what is next, what is to be made of their lives here at this point, because nobody seems to really have any clear answers. Again, we're waiting to see if somebody from the mayor's office does come down here. I have reached out to the mayor's office, have not heard back yet. So far as we know, and again, we're working on this assumption until we hear otherwise, Mayor Bowser's office was not given a heads up that these 2 buses and all of these people were coming. This very likely was a surprise, just because that has been the pattern. They have not been given a heads up from Texas Governor Greg Abbott or from Arizona's Governor Doug Ducey when these buses have come and have arrived in Washington, D.C. and in other places. So these people, at this point, doesn't seem like, again, there's a lot of direction. We're going to be here on the story, and we're going to continue to get more information for you guys throughout the hour as it comes in. But this is the situation right now as it stands. And guys, we will send it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. I know that recently Vice President Harris had spoken and saying that our border is secure and that we have to fix the problems that have happened over the previous 4 years, citing the former administration.
Well, and she is the person that from the beginning, President Biden put in charge of the border. He said she will be our border czar. So you have to know that Governor Abbott, and by the way, NewsNation has reached out to the Texas governor's office for comment. We've not heard back yet. But you have to know that Governor Abbott here is sending a message that this is literally coming home to you. I'm not just sending them to places where you have worked or to other people who maybe don't support my party. I'm sending it to the home of the border czar, because he thinks, and his criticism is, that she and the entire federal government are not doing the job they need to do.
It'll be interesting, though, and maybe we should just put this out as a caveat. Perhaps this is from an organization. Maybe this isn't from Texas Governor Greg Abbott, this bus. It's possible. There are a lot of charitable organizations that work along the border. But again, we are still waiting for more information on that.
Well, and we have more news on the border now. But one quick note, there in D.C., in front of the Naval Observatory, because it is the official residence of the vice president, you're not allowed to park there. So how did these 2 buses full of people stop? And I guess it was not in broad daylight. It was probably before the sun came up. But how did they stop? We have a lot of questions, and it's breaking news, and this is how it works. So we're working to get all the answers for you. Stay tuned to NewsNation. But
thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.